when we get disconnected from our intuition, we start to feel confused. Or you can feel like there's just like this feeling that's like off in your gut, but you don't know what it is or why. Or it can feel like a craving to live a life that's more meaningful and purposeful, but you just don't know how, or you don't understand what's off. When you choose the path of healing your inner child, you're choosing a path of gaining more and more confidence and more clarity as time goes on. So, what even is inner child healing? Let me ask you this. What makes children different from adults, right? We're all just different sized humans. But what really makes kids different from humans that have lived longer? You've probably noticed that kids are really curious and playful, and kind of fearless in a way. So, like, how did they get there, and what happens to us over time? How do we change? Hi, I'm Forrest. I use he, him pronouns. I'm an inner child coach and a healer, and I would love to be your friend. And as your friend, I would love to share with you just a little bit about my experience with inner child healing and how to heal the inner child to experience more confidence and clarity when you're navigating life. It makes life a lot more enjoyable, let me tell you. Okay, so here we go. So the difference is when you're a kid, you're so much more directly connected to your intuition. You're basically channeling your intuition and you're acting on your gut instincts. Like, if you feel sad, your body's like, hey, I need to cry. You just cry. You don't even think twice about it. The thing is, over time, you start to experience trauma. And, like, you don't choose what kind of trauma you experience. It's based on a lot of external factors you have no control over. You also begin to experience social conditioning. Each year of social conditioning is like training a muscle. Each year you're flexing that muscle until it grows stronger and stronger. And sometimes the muscle is so trained that you don't even consciously realize that you're pushing down your intuition. Many of us have parents growing up that teach us when we're little that there's no space for our emotions. That if we get sad and we need to cry, that it's inconvenient, or it's too messy, or too disruptive, and we need to push it back down. This is the first instance of where we learn to not trust our own intuition, our own inner voice. Your intuition is essentially your source of confidence and clarity because your gut is your guide. Intuition is your inner wisdom that nature has blessed you with. Nature does not make mistakes, nature is beautiful. And we are all lovely creations of nature. So your intuition is like that divine gift that is inside of you that guides you through life. So essentially, the older that you get, the more you slowly become disconnected from your intuition until, boom, one day you wake up and you're just like, you don't even realize how far you've gotten disconnected from your intuition. We start to doubt ourselves. We start to feel confused when we get messages like, it's not okay for you to emote, even though it's a human thing to emote. So essentially, the social conditioning teaches you to perform. Like, just as an example, I'm transgender and I was assigned female at birth. I lived most of my life performing, playing the woman role. Like, somebody assigned me this piece and I was like, yes, I will perform for you, because I was scared of being rejected. Having any form of shame is really just like a side effect of social conditioning. Things become taboo just because the culture you were raised in decided that and you inherited that. It's not up to you how the culture is that you live in. So whatever those rules are, some of them you might jive with, some of them you might not. And the ones that you might not jive with, they're going to create some confusion when you feel that pressure coming from outside of yourself, when it's competing with the inner voice inside of you that you know to be your truth, that you know is your passion that you need to pursue. And like, it shows up in so many different ways. Like, that's where the term coming out of the closet comes from for LGBTQ plus folks. Because, like, why don't straight people need to come out of the closet? I don't get it. We're all just loving people. But socialization makes one of them acceptable and one of them not, even though they're all just natural forms, because humans are inherently loving creatures. But the older you get, the more that you learn that the world is not safe and you cannot trust people or the world. And so fear enters the picture. So the thing about humans, like as human nature intends, is that we're experimental creatures. We learn through experiencing. We're not afraid of failure because we know that failure is the teacher. We're not afraid to get dirty or messy. Kids experience the world through play. Play is just a mindset of curiosity and creativity. So there is no fear in your mind at that age. You just want to explore and learn through playing. As adults, sometimes we don't even take the next step because we're so afraid of failing. But just imagine a baby not taking any steps because they're afraid of failing. They will never learn to walk, ever. So healing your inner child is going back to your child self and entering that state of mind that's like curiosity and creativity, where your life becomes playful, not because the world around you is changing, but because how you relate to yourself is changing, because you're growing more and more confident, you're getting more and more clear about just living life. Like, you start to listen to your gut and trust your gut to the point that you practice enough to where there's no hesitation. Healing your inner child, for me, has made life so much more playful and so much more adventurous. When there's less fear in the space, you're experimenting more and having more adventures and connecting to more humans and having more authentic relationships with humans, because you're not so scared of pushing people away. You embrace your whole self for all of who you are, and you shine so bright that people can't help but be attracted to you, and some will be repelled, and that's just the nature of it. But you don't let that, knowing that being your authentic self will repel some people, you don't let that get in the way anymore. And so now you're attracting these authentic, beautiful connections. Life becomes art. It's beautiful. So how do you heal the inner child? Well, let me tell you. There's a million ways to do it. You can do it on your own. You can do it with a therapist, a coach. You can do it with your partner, like relationships or where healing happens. There's no right or wrong way to do it. There's just a bajillion ways. Something that I provide people is the opportunity to heal their inner child through inner child coaching. So what I do is I work one-on-one with people for a period of 6 months or more, and we meet once a week and basically help you peel back the layers so you can get closer and closer and closer to directly channeling your intuition. No matter where you're starting at, there's always like more layers to peel back to get closer. So it'll look different for everyone what that looks like. But we do a couple of things. We determine what survival strategies that you learned in your early childhood, which really aren't you. They're just things that you learned to get to where you are now. And sometimes they're not always super helpful. Like, maybe they were helpful back then, but they're not now as far as how you're trying to live your life. And then we'll determine what your essence is. So who are you truly? Like, who are you at your core beneath all of those strategies that you learned in your early years? We'll dig a little bit deeper into your life purpose. And of course, there are tons of tools and exercises that help facilitate inner child healing and just bring you closer and closer to confidence and clarity. So yeah, if you're looking for some support in your journey, if any of these things sound interesting to you, go ahead and go to my website, thehumanconditioncoaching.com, and schedule a free session. Just get a feel of like, how would this work, and like, what even is this stuff, and am I interested in this? Thanks for watching, and happy healing to you. May you be full of love and play and joy.